Here we are.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, people. We're happy to have you. This is called the Fatal Vision Podcast, and it's a
Episode
big
20.
day for us. It's episode 20, excluding bonus content, which there's been, we've now tossed out the two rounds of bonus content. So, but as far as moving our way through the book itself, this is episode 20. Am I
Well,
wrong, Billy?
yeah, I think we might have numbered the Blackburn interview.
Oh, all right. Well, we're gonna have to go back through with our production team and edit out what I just said for
Yeah.
later. And we're also gonna have to go back through with our production team and fix the numbers in the podcasting apps of your choice.
Yeah.
But the point is, this is a big day for us
hmm
because huh, we're about to get into the April 6th, 1970 interview. Jeffrey MacDonald, William Ivory, Robert Shaw, and Franz Joseph Grebner.
hmm
I'm excited. Billy, are you excited?
Yeah, I couldn't sleep last night. I haven't slept all
Yeah,
day.
same here. I didn't sleep at all today. It's, I've been excited for, this when we're talking, this is almost 11 o'clock in the evening. So for
Yeah,
most people
I'm
in the world, they're already have been asleep for a couple hours at this point.
running on fumes, man.
Yeah,
On
but
fumes.
now just thinking about it, it's just so exciting. And
I probably won't sleep after this or
yeah, I
tomorrow.
mean, I've been nothing but consumed by the transcript of the interview the last 2 or 3 weeks. With my little project of the AI reconstruction, and so hopefully will bring some kind of insight into this, but it could be sort of a super saturation where now I've just thought of so little besides April 6th, 1970 that I can't even articulate anything about it.
Is it like your life and the April 6th, 1970 testimony have become of one substance?
Yeah, I would say that's the case.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always referred to a few key lines from it
Yeah.
for years, which we can discuss as we're going through it. But I think, well, we might as well just tell the viewers. Um, when McDonald references Easy Rider, that's one of our favorites that you and I have shared for just
Oh yeah.
basically the whole time we've known each other.
Right. It
When he
really
says, "I made the mistake of going to see that film," we talked about this last week before last when it was mentioned that he had been going to a ton of movies after the murders with Ron and his mom,
Yeah.
and that must have been one of the movies that he had caught at the Fayetteville
Yeah.
Cineplex.
So this is a big night for us and
Yeah.
for you. And I don't want to spend too much more time on the banter.
Oh yeah.
I
We've
think we
gotten actually a lot of flaming negative reviews, more than normal even this week. And most of it was about our banter and our friendship shining through. Uh, so I'm sorry about that. It sucks for you. It just there's no chemistry. The chemistry between us is for some people is just absolutely grating, and
Yeah,
can't blame them for that.
it's insufferable.
Yeah.
I did tell you before we started recording that I was going to make a dedication.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll do
No,
that now.
Billy. Yeah, you suffered a loss this week. You want to sort of update us on what happened?
Yeah, so my friend of almost 20 years, um, my English teacher in middle school, my faculty advisor in middle school, and a guy that just stayed faithful to me in friendship and wise counsel, who was by my side through many of my life's hardest times. Jeff Connor. We lost him over the weekend, His family made an announcement that he had passed away peacefully, and he's the guy who more than anybody really instilled in me a love of language and literature. And when I first encountered him, he was just so fucking smart, and he'd read so much, and he was so articulate. I wanted to model my life after his in some way. He inspired me, and it's really no stretch to say that I wouldn't be doing a podcast about a great work of art these years later had it not been for Jeff Connor's influence. So I'd like to, dedicate this episode to him and give thanks to God that I had a friend like that. So
Yes, thank you. Thanks to God. And I'm sorry I never got a chance to meet him personally, because but I certainly have met him through you in all the things that you reflect him. So yeah, the fact that we're sitting here is just a testament to his impact.
for sure. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you,
Connor.
Jeff.
Jeff
Jeff,
Connor.
yeah, unfortunately, unfortunate coincidence that his name would be Jeff. But that doesn't mean the Jeffrey MacDonald doesn't get a monopoly on the name.
That's right. That's important to stipulate now.
Same with MacDonald. My
Right.
wife's clan in Scotland was Clan Ranald of MacDonald.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, we can't paint it with a broad brush,
Yeah.
just on a name.
It's so important.
But
So important.
yeah, it's so important to make that clear. Um,
All right. Thank you for letting me do that.
yeah, no, and and anybody wants to reach out to us directly to share your sympathy with Billy, we encourage that. We interact with you happily. So, we sort of bare our souls here. That's kind of the deal.
All right.
So.
This episode is for Jeff Connor. Let us
It's
begin.
for him, and let's make it a good one. It's already been really good. So, if you're reading along at home, as I trust you are, this is chapter 9, part 1 of your Fatal Vision books. Um, Billy, will you lead us into this?
Absolutely. It was 9:30 a.m. Trucks were grinding by outside, an open window, a radio on the desk next to Grebner's was tuned to a pop music station. It would be good to know what was playing. Like, what were the
Oh,
hits? What were the
we're
hits
gonna
that
hear a
day?
little bit about what's playing.
Okay.
Oh, I just want to remind everybody that we ended the last sequence chapter 8 with before we begin, I want to advise you of your rights. That was the cliffhanger. So,
Got it. Got it. So
yeah.
Jeff's
Anyway.
walking into this office. Yep.
Yeah, so now he's there. He's been Mirandized. Yeah.
Got it. Grebner informed MacDonald that he had the right to remain silent. Oh, it's happening here.
Okay.
And the right to request an attorney, and that even if he chose to answer questions, he would retain the right to stop at any time. Grebner added, however, that what MacDonald did say could be used against him in any future judicial proceeding. The microphone lay 18 inches from Jeffrey MacDonald's right elbow, which rested on the edge of Grebner's desk. Ivory and Shaw sat silently the majority of their waking hours since February 17th had been spent inside 544 Castle Drive. Both men had gazed deeply into the wounds that had been inflicted on Jeffrey MacDonald's wife and children. For the rest of their lives, both would carry with them visions of what they had seen. Both men, like Grebner, were by now convinced that Jeffrey MacDonald was the murderer. This was their first close look at him. MacDonald glanced up at the ceiling. He glanced down at the floor. He cleared his throat. He looked past Grebner's shoulder, out the window. He said he understood what Grebner had just told him and that he was willing to answer any questions the agents might have. Now, is that Joe doing like this is like a nonfiction novel, and he can like imagine Jeff looking up and down, or would that be based on testimony?
Based on I think given the gravity of the scene, it's certain almost I can guarantee you it was from interviewing Ivory or Shaw, Grebner, after the fact,
And the
asking
throat
for the
and the throat
recollections.
clearing would have been on tape.
Yeah. So that he had obviously he had access to the tape, and then he had access to these detectives and maybe even their notes. Maybe I'm sure they made contemporaneous notes about any sort of body language or tells he did. So
All right, I'm gonna keep
yeah,
going.
we don't have yeah, I don't think this is one of his forays into non creative nonfiction. Like you think that's more of a blind faith thing.
Yeah, good book.
Yeah.
That's for
That's for another
season
podcast.
two of it, or
Well,
what?
yeah.
We'll talk about that later. Crime
Yeah.
Writer, we know you're out there.
Yes. Yeah, thanks for listening. All right, Grebner said, just go ahead and tell us your story. MacDonald cleared his throat again and began. He spoke quickly with little inflection as he described for the first time, formally on record, the details of his struggle with the intruders. MacDonald did not yet know how much or what the CID knew. He was not yet aware of the story the physical evidence had told. I love this line. I've always loved it. And so, on this Monday morning of April 1970, he could not realize that the account he was about to render would stick to him like tar for years afterward, in all its messy, inconvenient detail. Despite his many attempts to cleanse himself of it, as his understanding of the physical evidence and its implications increased.
James, maybe this isn't the right time for this, so feel free
Yeah.
not to jump in, but you learned something about actually what the jurors were um, instructed about
Yeah.
in terms of this. I just think for those out there who just want the facts,
Yeah, so
might
for
be interesting.
fact-based people, um and I managed not to learn this because it's deep legal minutia, but that part of what the jury's instructions were in 1979 from the judge, and which McDonald was knew about and okay with, and has never even tried to appeal, was that if his alibi story was disproven in court, shown to be a lie, a deception, then the jury was required to treat it exactly the same as a confession to the murders.
Wow.
So, and McDonald, as well as not understanding the implications, that probably didn't have that in mind either, that he was about to go on record with a an alibi that would be the same as a confession if he ever had to uh, litigate physical evidence, or in the case of his trials, he didn't even try to refute it. And we're going to get lots of that today, even.
All right.
So, what do you think of that, Billy? You think this? So, we're about to basically hear him confess effectively.
Let's
He's
see.
by not standing up and saying, you know what, never mind. This is a little weird for me. I think I'm going to get a JAG lawyer. He just to decide instead that, let's just go for it and just roll the dice.
Hmm. That's a sign of his confidence. He's a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
confident man
He really didn't want to look bad. I mean, it sounds like he's already feeling a little bit nervous.
with all the looking up and down.
All the throat clearing and looking at the window like it's so interesting out there. Um, he could have
I'm
just,
gonna,
yeah.
I'm
So
gonna,
the
I'm,
fact that he was willing to sit down and do this and he's going to stick with it is great for us because
let's just keep
they were able to
alternating. Let's keep
hang
alternating.
him with this. Okay, sorry.
Let's see. Monday
This is
night.
McDonald talking now.
Let's see. Monday night, my wife went to bed and I was reading, and I went to bed about somewhere's around 2 o'clock. I really don't know. I was reading on the couch, and my little girl, Christy, had gone into bed with my wife. And I went in to go to bed, and the bed was wet. She had wet the bed on my side, so I brought her in her own room, and I don't remember if I changed her or not. Gave her a bottle and went out to the couch because my bed was wet, and I went to sleep on the couch. And then the next thing I know, I heard some screaming, at least my wife, but I thought I heard Kimmy, my older daughter, screaming also, and I sat up. The kitchen light was on, and I saw some people at the foot of the bed, and there's a little indicator here that he has misspoken. Do you have the seek?
Seek.
Yeah. Foot of the couch, he meant. So I
He
don't
probably meant the couch. Yeah.
So I don't know if I really said anything or I was getting ready to say something. That's interesting because I rewatched the Larry King thing, and that's just a line, the Larry King interview from 2003 or four with Jeff, and that's a line he uses all the time. Like
Yeah.
when
That I
people,
don't know if I said it or I
and to
thought it.
this day, I don't know if I said or I thought I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is probably the first time he tried that out.
Yeah. He's trying some new stuff out.
You know, when you talk about it, it sounds like it took forever, but it didn't take forever. And so I sat up, and at first I thought it was, I just could see three people, and I don't know if I heard the girl first or I think I saw her first. I think two of the men separated sort of at the end of my couch, and all I saw was some people really. And this guy started walking down between the coffee table and the couch, and he raised something over his head. And just sort of then, sort of all together, I just got a glance of this girl with a kind of light on her face. I don't know if it was a flashlight or a candle, but it looked. Sorry, something popped up on my screen. Flashlight or a candle, but it looked to me like she was holding something. And I just remember what my instinctive thought was that she's holding a candle. What the hell is she holding a candle for? But she said, before I was hit the first time, kill the pigs, acid's groovy. Now, that's all. That's all I think I heard before I was hit the first time, and the guy hit me in the head. So I was knocked back on the couch, and then I started struggling to get up, and I could hear it all then. Now I could, maybe it's really, I don't know if I was repeating to myself what she just said or if I kept hearing it, but I heard, acid is groovy, kill the pigs. MacDonald's voice was sharp, his sentences running together, his words had the sound of dice rattling in a cup. I'm going to throw it back to you for the next part, but I I never noticed the detail that he thought that maybe he had been repeating acid is groovy, kill the pigs
In his mind. He
in
heard
his
it just the
mind.
one time, and it was just like couldn't get out of his head, just like a earworm. Um, and just basically, I saw some people.
Hmm.
It's not going well for him so far. I just thought, that's my favorite line is all I saw was some people, really. All right, and I started to struggle up, and I noticed he's starting to struggle up. Oh, because he just got hit in the head, and I noticed three men now, and I think the girl was kind of behind them either on the stairs or at the foot of the couch behind them. And the guy on my left was a colored man, and he hit me again. And at the same time, I was kind of struggling. And these two men I thought were punching me. Then I remember thinking to myself that, see, I work out with the boxing gloves sometimes. I was then. And I kept, geez, that guy throws a hell of a punch because he punched me in the chest and I got this terrific pain in my chest. He still tells that story over and over for the next 30 years about the throws a hell of a punch thought.
Like, cause I work out with a boxing team, so I know about
Yeah, so
punches.
just so you know, I'm a kind of a badass here, and I know what it's like to get punched. And I'm just sort of admiring the guy, like, hey, I'm not even mad. That was a
Hmm.
good punch. And so I was struggling, and I got hit on the shoulder or the side of the head again. And so I turned and I grabbed this guy's whatever it was. I thought it was a baseball bat at the time. And I was holding it. I was kind of working up to hold onto it. Meanwhile, both these guys were kind of hitting me, and all this time I was hearing screams. That's what I can't figure out. So let's see. I was holding, so I saw all I got a glimpse of was some stripes. I told you I think they were E6 stripes. There was one bottom rocker and it was an army jacket, and that man was a colored man, and the two men, other men, were white. And I didn't really notice too much about them. And so I kind of struggled and I was kind of off balance because I was still halfway on the couch and half off, and I was holding on to this. And I kept getting this pain either in, like sort of in my stomach, and he kept hitting me in the chest. And so I let go of the club and I was grappling with him and I was holding his hand in my hand and I saw, a blade. I didn't know what it was. I just saw something that looked like a blade at the time. And so then I concentrated on him. We were kind of struggling in the hallway right there at the end of the couch. And then really the next distinctive thing I thought that I noticed, I saw some legs, that not covered. Like I saw the top of some boots, and I thought I saw knees as I was falling. I saw some knees on the top of boots, and I think, the investigators, I thought they were brown. The next thing I remember, though, was lying on the hallway at the end of the hallway floor, and I was freezing cold, and it was very quiet, and my teeth were chattering, and I went down and to the bedroom. MacDonald's voice suddenly weakened, and his cadence slowed.
Hmm.
Pass it back to my man Billy over here.
All right, and I was dizzy, I wasn't really real alert, and I my wife was lying on the floor next to the bed, and there was a knife in her upper chest. He was sobbing his words now rather than speaking them and trying repeatedly to clear his throat. So I took that out and tried to give her artificial respiration, but the air was coming out of her chest. So I went and checked the kids, and there was a long pause as MacDonald wept. Grebner and Ivory and Shaw waited in silence. The loudest sound in the room was that of an up-tempo Al Hurt trumpet on the radio. Quote, and they were had a lot of blood around. So I went back into the bedroom and by this time I was finding it real hard to breathe and he sighed deeply. I was dizzy, so I picked up the phone and I told this asshole operator that it was my name was Captain MacDonald and I was at 544 Castle Drive and I needed the MPs and a doctor and an ambulance. And she said, is this on post or off post? Something like that. And I started yelling at her. I said, finally, I told her it was on post. And she said, well, you'll have to call the MPs. So I dropped the phone and I went back and I checked my wife again. And now I don't know, I assume I was hoping I hadn't seen what I had seen, or I was starting to think more like a doctor. So I went back and checked for pulses, carotid pulses and stuff. Is that how you say that?
Carotid, according to
Carotid,
the AI transcript. Yeah.
carotid pulses and stuff. And there was no pulse on my wife, and I felt I was getting sick to my stomach, and I was short of breath, and I was dizzy, and my teeth were chattering because I was cold. And so I didn't know if I assumed I was going into shock because I was so cold. That's one of the symptoms of shock. You start getting shaking chills. So I got down on all fours and I was breathing for a while, and then I realized that I had talked to the operator and nothing really happened with her. But in any case, when I went back to check my wife, I then went to check the kids, and a couple of times I had to, thinking that I was going into shock and not being able to breathe. Now, when I look back, of course, it's merely a symptom, that shortness of breath. It isn't, you weren't really that bad, but that's what happens when you get a pneumothorax. You think you can't breathe, and I had to get down on my hands and knees and breathe for a while. And I went in and checked the kids and checked their pulses and stuff. And I don't know if it was the first time I checked them or the second time, to tell you the truth, but I had all, blood on my hands, and I had little cuts in here and in here, pointing to his midsection, and my head hurt. So when I reached up to feel my head, my hand was bloody, and so I think it was the second circuit, because by that time I was thinking better, I thought, and I went into the bathroom right there and looked in the mirror and didn't, nothing looked wrong. I mean, there wasn't really even a cut or anything. So I went out in the hall and I couldn't breathe. So I was on my hands and knees in the hall, and I it kept hitting me that really nothing had been solved when I called the operator. And so I went in, and this was in in the middle of the hallway there, and I went the other way. I went into the kitchen, picked up that phone, and the operator was on the line. My other phone had never been hung up. And she said, and she was still on the line, and she said, is this Captain McDonald? I said, yes, it is. And she said, just a minute. And there was some dial tones and stuff. And then the sergeant came on and he said, can I help you? So I told him that I needed a doctor and an ambulance and that some people had been stabbed and that I thought I was going to die. Hmm. And he said, they'll be right there. So I left the phone, and I remember going back to look again. And the next thing I knew, an MP was giving me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation next to my wife. Now I remember I don't know if it was the first or second trip into the bedroom to see my wife, but I saw that the back door was open. But that's immaterial, I guess. McDonald stopped. Grebner and Ivory and Shaw remained silent. On the radio, Nat King Cole was singing Ramblin' Rose. I thought I was gonna
Uh,
die, huh?
yeah, I thought I was dying. And then I looked in the mirror and you weren't really that bad. Um, there's nothing wrong. It was crazy. So what do we think of his this is he gets a chance to say his story, they just let him have it, let him have the floor. And how does it look to you? Does it look pretty weak?
He doesn't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah,
I mean, he does, but this is not. It's all like, I saw something. I don't know. I thought I saw people. They might have been
it,
people.
it seems like he doesn't want to get too specific yet. Like I mean, I think maybe he's hoping he could just say this and leave. Like, okay, and that's it. Yeah, thanks for your story, McDonald. You're on your way. It's like I don't really know. I think I don't know if it was the first or the second circuit, and I kept thinking I was dying and stuff, checking for pulses and stuff. He loves to keep saying and stuff and stuff and stuff, like really weak, unconfident language. Um,
Whoa, whoa,
anyway,
whoa. Hey, who's that coming into the room?
McDonald defender,
There he is.
who are you to tell me how who's been through such a horrible trauma should be
Yep.
talking about it?
Yep.
All right, well, let's see how these guys handle his trauma. When you woke up, well, first of all, he started sobbing and like hysterically crying, and they didn't like run over to console him and were like, "It's okay,
I know they
you're
all they
great."
all they all believe he did it.
Yeah, so they just like sat staring at him, like they didn't like run over. Why didn't he be? Why wasn't he like? Don't you guys gonna like? Don't you guys fucking care about me? Like I'm fucking sad right now. You're just staring at me.
All right.
But he's just like, no, that's fine. You can just be a dick. All right. When you woke up, Grebner said after more than 30 seconds of silence, there were three men there. The first time? You mean when I was on the couch? Yes. Right, well, yeah. Now, sir, let me say one thing now. There seemed a new edge of anxiety in MacDonald's voice. When you say something, it sounds cut and dried, but this thing happened. I'm sure it didn't take more than 8 or 10 seconds when I think back about it. You know, I've been in fights before. What's that, Billy?
Well, just everything that he just described happening took 8 or 10 seconds, or from the moment
I,
of
it's talking about the fight.
so the moment of seeing them to the point where he goes
This,
unconscious.
there's all this grappling and like he's focusing on one guy and another guy and then back to another guy and the blade
The
and
boots.
the flash of a knee and a boot.
What's she doing with a candle?
Yeah, having all this. So I mean, yeah, seems a pretty aggressively short couple of seconds.
Okay.
Maybe he's trying to buy some some runway here, you
All right. Well,
know.
he's going to tell us about other fights he's had.
Okay, this is important. I've been in fights before, and Christ, you think it's an eternity, and when it's over, it's less than a minute. But I'm sure this was a matter of seconds. And I just woken up and it was dark, and I think it was three men, right? Because I remember specifically struggling with three people in front of me and seeing a fourth, seeing the girl. And really, all I saw of her was some long, stringy blonde hair and a big hat. You say this man with the sergeant stripes on came toward you. Where did he strike you first? In the head? Right. Right. I mean, I was just sitting. I was just sitting in bed, Seek. I
Just
was just,
keeps forgetting where he was.
yeah. Why were you in bed? I was just getting ready to say something like, "What the hell are you? What's going on here?" When I could hear screaming, and really, it isn't a matter of like running at me or anything, because it was only a step. The point is, he was closer than the others, and I remember thinking that he was raising something, and I really didn't even defend myself. I mean, it was really too fast. I just sort of sat up, and as I looked and saw these people, he was doing this really at the same time, and he hit me. And I mean, they weren't shouting or anything. There wasn't any I mean, she wasn't jumping up and down and screaming, kill him. The point was, it all seemed, when you see it in like Easy Rider. I
Yes.
made the
Yes. We finally made it to our
yeah,
favorite line.
favorite line of the book. I made the mistake of going to see that film. They,
Yes. So
they
let's
have
be
all
let's
these.
sorry, hold on.
Yeah, we can't. No, you're
So
right.
he is giving his account on the record to the investigators, and he decides to take a shot at the film Easy Rider.
Yeah.
I made the
I
mistake of going to see that film.
on the record, this is for. I mean, the fact is that he's trying to score some points, right? Um,
Yeah, like maybe they hate that movie too.
yeah, like let's just can we just sort of gently move on to safer ground here, where we could just talk about movies. And also, isn't it peculiar that he would go to see this an Easy Rider movie, like the hippie anthem, within 6 weeks of having this harrowing experience of this being near death and his family slaughtered by
Whoa, whoa,
acid
whoa. Hey,
heads?
yeah, he's back. He's back. Here comes the
No,
defender. Hey, man, you don't know
yeah,
when he saw it.
I don't know. I'm assuming he saw it because he said he went to the movie so many times, and I don't know what the theatrical run of Easy Rider was. Let's see what the defender has. For those of you who don't know Easy Rider, for all you Gen Z people, it's a movie.
Do we have a lot of Gen Zers who listen to this?
No, according to Spotify, at least on Spotify, we have none. Uh,
Okay, well, maybe we should help them a bit.
yeah.
Like maybe they'll come if we relate to them more.
No, so you're right. It was released in the summer of '69. So he probably, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
The way
Like
movies were taken
you
in
took a
back
cheap
then,
shot. You took a cheap
I think
shot at our guy here.
we don't know for sure. We're gonna have to dig deeper on this, but we shouldn't enforce all the
Gen Z
Sears.
listener. There's a lot of talk in this chapter of MacDonald going to the phone to call for help.
Yeah.
We used to have these things called landlines.
Yeah, you're probably really confused and scared when you heard him say that he never hung up a phone in the bedroom and that the operator was still on the line. And you probably don't even understand what hanging up means and why there would be two phones in one house. It's probably, I mean, having two phones you must be a millionaire to have two phones.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll do our best to bring you up to speed. The world's changed a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
But he didn't like Easy Rider.
All right,
But
let's go back into the text.
it did give him a frame of reference for his own subjective experience of being fatally attacked or near fatally attacked.
In like a stop
I'm
action kind of way.
yeah, yeah. So like, it's for all its flaws, it presented him with a very real way of looking at his life. I made the mistake of going to see that film. They have all these stop action things. Well, that's what it seemed like. All I really see is these real fast glimpses of what happened. So he's just already like, don't try to get me to tell you what happened. I mean, come on, this is like Easy Rider, it's just these flashes.
Right.
Anyway, Bill, I'll kick you over. It seems like a good transition point to give it back to you for now.
All right, Captain MacDonald, Shaw said, speaking in a voice so flat and dry that he might have been an airline pilot addressing a cabin filled with passengers. Joe McGinnis is quite good at that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway.
his touches here are really bringing it to life, you know?
Yeah. You told one of the other investigators earlier that you were wearing a pajama top that was pulled over your head or something like that. Right. Well, all I know is that, well, when I was struggling now, after I had been hit the first time, and I was struggling with these guys and my somehow my pajama top, I don't know. if it was ripped forward or pulled over my head. I don't think it was pulled over my head. I don't remember actually like backing my head through it, but all of a sudden it was all around my hands and it was in my way. And I remember that I was holding this thing in my hands, the guy's hand that I couldn't maneuver very well. Again, this all happened in 8 to 10 seconds.
Yeah. Um,
My hands were kind of wrapped up in the thing, and as they were punching me, I was kind of using that a little bit, holding it because this guy I thought was really punching me in the chest, and in the stomach because I was getting hit across here, pointing again to the midsection of his body. So in effect, I was blunting everything by, holding this up, and I couldn't get my hands free out of this thing. And I remember I ended up when I was laying on the floor, I forgot to say that. When I woke up on, it was still all around my hands and everything, and I took it off as I was going in the bedroom. And after I took this knife out of my wife's chest, keeping her warm, to treat shock, elevate the legs and keep them warm. Was Colette alive then? Shaw asked. I don't think so, sir, because medically I don't think she could have been, because when I gave her mouth to mouth, I remember distinctly the bubbles were coming out of her chest. She was just lying there very still and made no response at all. I didn't take her pulse initially. All I did was see her and, he cleared his throat, take the knife out of her chest and breathe into her mouth, really. So I don't know, but I assume not. She just, I've seen a lot of dead people. Did you try to move her any place? Geez, I don't know, sir. I don't think so. So again, now they're establishing that she was killed. That according to MacDonald, she was killed in this bedroom. That's where her blood is. Did you move her? Would her blood be anywhere else? Right.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, they already just locked him down in a matter of really probably 10 seconds. Locked him down for life about the pajama top evidence forever. Um,
Not bad.
yeah, so it's like, okay, you had it in your hands, you took it off, and you put it in a Colette. So it was only ever in the on the couch and in your bedroom on her, on top of her.
Because later the government was able to establish that Colette's blood got on it before it was torn.
Among many, I mean, like James Blackburn says that they should have called the book The Pajama Top because that was the whole case.
Well, that's what Blackburn said Mildred wanted
Mildred
the book to be.
Kassab said, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you try to move her any place? Geez, I don't know, sir. I don't think so. I mean, maybe. There's a green chair there. Maybe she was leaning against it. I don't remember specifically, no, but if she was lying a little crooked in my compulsive manner, I might have straightened her out a little bit or something, but I honestly don't remember that. I can't say yes to that. I don't remember moving her. I don't think I moved her body at all. Then Ivory asked, "What part of the hallway were you laying in?" Originally? Yeah. Down near the end, down near the couch end. Where did the struggle actually take place? Grebner asked. Right, right at the end, right at the foot of the couch. Right at the foot of the couch. This wasn't a big deal, I wasn't James Bond, like like all my readings.
I hate him so much.
All my
All my readings. The two pop culture referees like keeps leaning on It's like James. Well, you didn't pick up Easy Rider. How about a James Bond reference for you?
Oh, he's a James Bond fan. Great.
Yeah.
We'll move on. Like all my readings, it didn't work out the way it's supposed to work out. Come charging through. It was just kind of a scene around me that I was grabbing things and holding on, basically. And I remember
My
that at
brain
one.
hurts so much trying to picture. Every time I try to picture what he says happened, I just like can't. I just like get really frustrated just trying to even imagine it happen.
You seen around me, I was grabbing things and holding on, basically.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I remember that at one time when I let go of the this club that I tried to hit a couple people, and I think I hit the guy with the club once, but nothing very spectacular, let me tell you.
Uh,
There's someone we know in public life who says, "Let me tell you," quite
oh,
often.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, well,
it's not gonna
I
end
was
well.
just gonna share McDonald's specific. He says nothing spectacular. This is the first of many times in this interview, and then over the next 9 years, he'll say it a lot. It's one of his favorite sort of like comfort positions to take.
Yeah. Why do you think he tried to say he hit them with the club, like in case his fingerprints were on it?
I know, he said I hit the guy. I think he meant to
I
say
hit the guy who was
he
holding the
punched
club.
the guy with the club with his fist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing
This is all just
spectacular then.
like the amount, like I'm saying, just trying to keep track of all the actions that took place in this
Tiny.
obscenely small space in
Yeah.
a very short, compressed time period.
I'm
Just
picturing him
really,
walking around and just flailing his arms, touching random objects.
yeah. I'm not even sure if he's sure that he ever stood up. Like it sounds like sometimes some accounts he's like half on the couch, half off, like one knee down. He's like in the process of standing up, and it'll just it'll just get more confusing the more questions they ask him.
Yeah, listeners,
So I guess we'll just
James's
go on.
connection,
Yeah,
James's connection is a little bit clunky. So the point he just made, you heard his voice break up. Just try to follow him. Just try to follow him. Don't worry about that.
I don't think that'll I don't think it comes in on their end, Billy, if it's recording on Zoom, but because in the past we've
Okay.
both been fine. But
Oh, okay. Well, in the
should
Blackburn
we just
interview,
should we just nuke this whole episode right now?
there's like there's like 15 seconds of Blackburn where he just have you heard that? He just like he totally disappears.
Or he freezes?
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the interview, like there's it's not 15 seconds, but there's like a whole answer that he it disappears and comes back. But we had a hard deadline with we had a
Oh
hard stop
God.
with him. No, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right.
Yeah, he had someplace to go. All right. Well,
As the morning
I'm
wore
sorry about my
on,
connection. I don't know what the hell's going.
you're okay, man. Hey, look, it's just little bumps here and there. You don't have to worry.
All right. All right, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, yeah, don't be afraid, man.
All right. I'm not afraid.
Just our frailty. As the morning wore on, the three CID men, with Shaw doing most of the questioning, led MacDonald through his story again, step by step. At Womack Hospital, MacDonald said, though this was not supported by his medical records, it had been discovered that he had a whole bunch of little puncture marks across my abdomen. I guess we ended up with 14 of them or something like that. These injuries, Shaw said in his dry, sterile voice, were these from these assailants? These people that were in your house? Well, I assume so, MacDonald said. Then, with no change of tone, Shaw let the cat spring from the bag, claws exposed. You didn't do it yourself, did you? No. Send it back.
This is to our conclusion. We're not going to make it through the whole thing, but this is where we decided to end it. After the the first test confrontation, almost without pause, though with an even higher pitch of nervousness in his voice, MacDonald continued with a long, rambling explanation of how he'd had to persuade the doctors at the hospital that his lung really was punctured and that the insertion of a chest tube would be required. For almost 5 minutes, he talked non-stop, stop, as if piling enough other words on top of it, he could smother Shaw's almost gentle but exceedingly ominous query.
All
By the
right.
time MacDonald had finished,
Oh, sorry,
I'm
sorry.
just going to read one
I,
more sentence.
oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
By the time MacDonald had finished, Shaw had decided to simply let his skepticism lie in the room for a while, smoldering, as he explored other avenues.
Yeah.
There, we made it.
That's where we're ending for tonight. This section is quite long. We're breaking it into three parts.
At least three parts. At least three.
What do we think, man?
The first thing that comes to mind is I'm just really pissed off, trying to how much he's hurting my slow wits, trying to imagine the scene, how it played out, and according to him, um, he was sitting in bed or couch. He sat up. He thought about saying something. He noticed there was a candle. There, he didn't
Or
really
a
see those two
flashlight.
white guys or
Or
a
a phone.
flashlight,
Yeah.
possibly a flashlight. He hates that people said that he always said it was a candle. Um, he got bonked in the head with the baseball bat, which is, if you look at the picture, it's like you can barely see it. And then the struggle was on, and he was grabbing at things. He grabbed the guy's bat. He grabbed some other guy's hand. He punched the guy holding the bat. And then he felt a sharp pain. I saw the glint of a blade. I'm already well past 8 seconds just talking about it. Um, and then he just passed out, knocked out. And that's not even getting into the all the first aid, doctor stuff he got into. So the story is really, really hard to stomach. I don't know. I've never seen a recreation. Like I know they try to show it in like Wilderness of Error, like his version, or just even then, or if even the Fatal Vision movie, it just never looks right.
It looks actually very funny in the Fatal Vision movie.
What is it? What do they do there? Like he just grabs the club and they're just like all laughing at him as he's like going down. He's just immediately losing
Well,
his pep.
yeah, and you see the four just like leaning toward him.
Just like random people just like sort of just looming over him,
Yeah.
waiting for him to wake up, waiting for him to make his next move.
Yeah.
Um,
But then of course they go and stab the other people like 50 times. But
well, this is
they
what
don't
they
even.
haven't even got into like the fact that he could hear that Colette and Kim yet,
Yeah.
and
But the
how that.
neighbors, no neighbors heard them.
No, I mean, no, these phantom stealth masters made it in and out. At least seven of them. And then I was reading in the grand jury transcript about where they're talking to Freddie, and they were just saying, "Look, honestly, you really can't get it until you're there." They had just gone to the crime scene for the first time. Like you just have no idea how small this room was until you can look at the pictures or the floor plan all day, and once you're actually there, you just see the absolute absurdity of what he's saying. People raising clubs high in the air, and um. the room would have been absolutely massacred.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm more interested, Billy, in what the psychology of what he's doing to himself here.
Yeah.
Like laying out this really, and it seems like he's very conscious of how lame this is all sounding. And he's almost he's like they're really not giving him much pushback, up until the very end there. just ask him like just can you just very basic clarifying questions
Yeah.
that you would ask if you were trying to identify the real killers, you know? And he just keeps getting more and more agitated. Like, look, I never said I saw the guy that well. This isn't like my readings. I didn't really do anything. Maybe I got a single punch in there. I don't know. There's so many qualifiers. And let me say one thing right now. This whole thing was in 8 seconds and it was all a big blur. So anything I say doesn't really matter. It's painful. It's very cringe. And I'm really grateful that Joe put in every single ah, you know, ah.
Yeah. Why do you think he came up with this story that was so, what do I mean to say? Like, couldn't you imagine a version of this that, while still untrue, didn't make your brain hurt when trying to
I
wrap your head around it?
I just think when just as you're forming your question, you just want to keep yourself out of their bedrooms. You want to put yourself by at all costs um in the living room before, until they're all dead, no matter what.
Right.
Because I think that was sort of his number one concern in telling a story is that he was never in his bedroom or their bedrooms when with any of the intruders.
Right.
Um, but that still doesn't do him any favors, really. I mean, what does he not know in terms of what the physical evidence shows? He really it clearly has never occurred to him at all about the protrusion, a profusion of the fibers in the three bedrooms.
No, no,
Like that happened, and he didn't, he never turned the lights on. We know that, so he never did much looking around.
yeah, yeah. So he, that was a critical mistake by MacDonald because obviously, if his story were true, you would find all the pajama fibers in the living room, and
Or
there
yeah, it
and
just
there
or
are
none in the
and
in
there
those
aren't
other.
any. There aren't
Doesn't
any.
mean in the fact that there's any in those other rooms is really damning. And uh and the whole thing about getting stabbed, he seems sort of conscious about trying to put himself um in the bathroom once and looking at himself in the mirror because he think he might know that there's some blood on the sink. So he's trying to make sure he says that. I just stumbled into the bathroom and
I've looked at myself and I thought I don't look bad.
I don't look that bad. Um, and then just the whole thing about I got of not bleeding in the room where you say you got stabbed. It's just that's not very good either for him. Um,
Right.
so again, it just comes back like why is he telling them this story at all? Is it hubris? Is
Yeah,
it the psycho? Is it
wouldn't McGinnis say that, like, later, as McGinnis learns more, wouldn't he say that this guy is a narcissistic sociopath and he really thinks he's the smartest guy in the room and
yes?
he can charm absolutely anybody just through the sheer power of
But
of
he's not doing it
beautiful
much
mind.
charming here. I mean, well, there's the crying. I guess maybe he thought the crying was like
Crying, James
the
Bond
ace.
readings.
Like and just like yeah, just
Easy
disarming them
Rider.
with Easy Rider, James Bond, and like lots of
Well,
weeping.
but I'm not saying he is charming, but he believes he's persuasive. He thinks he's a brilliant man, and he's crushing it all the time.
Sure, we know that from the previous chapter.
Yeah.
And then we'll see it again and again. Um, I mean, this thing could have been like, could have been over. He could have been off the hook so many times, and he puts himself back in harm's way. I'm just thinking when you're sitting here, we're just sitting here talking about it. Like, why is he doing this interview with the CID? Why is he going on Dick Cavett when he's officially not going to be charged with murder, but he's certainly not immune from ever being charged.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's very
this is why
interesting.
I'm always so I think a lot of it is about his psyche, and this is what's so fascinating to me. That's what obsesses me is MacDonald's psyche.
Right.
That's what so much of Fatal Vision is.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And what does it reveal about his psyche that he invited this writer in?
Oh yeah, I mean it's know it's so many self-owns, as you would say, as the young kids would say.
Gen Z, cell
Gen
phones.
Zers would say he's just total self-own here with like blundering into the CID interview.
Self own sort of sounds like cell phone.
Oh, that sort of ties back to our other. This is getting very bantery, but it ties back into the other stuff we discussed with the phones. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, do you think maybe if he had had a bit more humility and he walked into that room and he said, "You know what? I would like to have a lawyer here." And then he never shared that story. Maybe he wouldn't have gotten he wouldn't have ended up where he ended up.
yeah, I think so. It's so the most um damning stuff is the fact that well, at least McGinnis seems to be pretty hot on that concept, saying this is going to stick to him like tar, and he's going to try to modify it as lame in the lamest way. He doesn't have much room to do it. He's going to modify the ways that I can think of as he modifies the time span of the initial brawl from 8 to 10 to up to 30 seconds, and he modifies the uh that he moved Colette probably about a foot to, after he learned there's fibers under her body.
Right.
Um, so, and then we start getting other theories of excuses about the trauma, about April 6th being this event he didn't see coming, and that he couldn't possibly have been expected to give a proper rendering of what happened.
Yeah.
So, if McDonald walks out of there, lawyers up, does he get away with it? I'm not convinced.
No, no. But he did hurt himself with this.
Oh, very, very much. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, to everyone's benefit.
Yeah.
And what's always crazy to me is that he never tells Freddie and Mildred this story at all, ever. He just doesn't talk to them about it.
Right. Right. Freddie doesn't learn it, doesn't learn the story until he gets the transcript from the
Yeah,
hearing.
the article. So Freddie's not going to learn McDonald's lame story about any of this until Christmas. It's right now it's April, and the murders were in fact 6 weeks before. So it doesn't look good if you're at that time the true McDonald defender. Freddie Kassab.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're
Well,
leaving off here with
yeah,
Shaw's gentle but exceedingly ominous
ominous
query.
query. Yep.
By the time MacDonald had finished, Shaw decided to simply let his skepticism lay in the room for a while. All right. So we're
And we'll
gonna
pick it up.
we will have occasion to unpack this recording again next week.
Yeah,
There's more
yeah,
to come.
we're gonna be residing in that interrogation room for the foreseeable future. So we hope you'll stay there with us, and thanks and bless you all for joining us.
Keep me in your prayers. I'm on the
Yeah,
road.
think of
I'm on the road this
think
weekend.
our thoughts are constantly on this podcast and on the case, and we hope that yours are as well. So blessings.
Yeah, I feel like you didn't hear me say I'm on the road this weekend, so
Oh, well,
I need well
excuse me.
wishes for that because I'm
Travel safely.
thanks, man. Thank you.
It's important to be safe.
God bless.
God
Thank you.
bless. Good night.